You right, guys? Well, I've woken up this morning with a bit of a headache. Had to get up, take Martin to school, and all that. And I've got home, and I really just don't fancy doing anything. It has to be said. But I was listening to listening to some music, and I started singing along with it. And I realised that I've got a nice case of morning voice, and occasionally I wake up and my voice is a little bit more kind of resonant and um, lower than sometimes it gets. So you have to take advantage. So I'm going to try and do some recording. Okay, so I've gone into Ableton and I've put a metronome on at 60 beats per second, nice round number. And I'm just going to play a rough guitar track to the metronome to put down so that then I can do my vocals over the top. Okay, so that's the guitar part done. It's very rough and the timing's a bit out, even though I've got a metronome. But there we go. I'm kind of feeling my way through how I actually want to play it. So I found that I was doing a slightly different picking sequence at the end than I was at the beginning, and I liked it more. So again, it's just very rough because we'll want to break it up and put some maybe some guitar solos in or fiddle or something like that. It does need breaking up, but it gives you enough to start singing over the top, and then you can kind of move things about and decide where you want them a bit later. Okay, so here we go, getting ready to do some vocals. So I've got my mic, I've got the guitar playing in my headphones. Don't want to play it on the main speakers, otherwise the microphone will pick those up. And really, to do decent mixing and production, you need each separate instrument or voice to be separate so you can play around with them individually. If you get them all together and you get that kind of crossover, it becomes very difficult to do anything sensible with it. Okay, so you're not going to actually, you won't hear the guitar on your end, you're just going to hear my untouched voice recorded on an iPhone. But be assured that I've got guitar coming through here and my voice is going through the mic and being recorded on here. So I'll probably do it 2 or 3 times just to see how it comes out, and you do it differently every time, and sometimes you fluff bits up and sometimes you do something magical, and yeah, let's see what happens. It's true, I am a traveller of plains across these lands, and of my mind-forged turrets I tread cross boundless sands. You know I've seen such beauty no other eyes have seen. Such sights would shame and humble those hanging gardens green. Okay, so I've done one run through it, and one thing I noticed was there isn't really enough time to get the words out when I'm moving from the chorus to the verse. So I've simply gone in and chopped the guitar up in the software, moved it a few bars out, and then cut and paste in a few chords into the middle. So although it sounds a little bit rough, it doesn't sound like a proper performance of the guitar. It sounds like I've got that nice chord sequence in between, giving me time to recoup, get my head in order, ready for the next verse. So it may not be like that on the finished thing, but it's helping me record, which is the main thing. I've got to make that as good as possible. So I've done one run through and I've recorded the entire song just straight off. I noticed there's a couple of bits in there that I'm not singing right. There's a couple of bits which were flat, which I need to concentrate hard on making sure that I hit the pitch on next time. And there's a couple where I kind of improvised a bit with the tune and didn't get it quite right, but I think I know what I want to do there, because I don't want it to be exactly the same all the way through. You've got to have a bit of variation. Okay, so I really feel like I'm getting the hang of it now. It's coming together. I think I'm singing it better, apart from when I have a small coughing fit. What I have noticed is that one of the verses it has there's two verses together, and between the two they've got three felts in there, and I didn't notice it when I was putting this together, or the first time I sang it, or even the second time I sang it. But on that time there, I felt there was too many felts close together. So I'm just going to have a look at that and see if I can put a different word in, and see if I can make that just a little bit slicker. Okay, so I've gone through all the lyrics actually, and I've made a few changes. The most obvious ones were those three felts within about 4 or 5 lines of each other. So I've changed one felt to tasted and one to seen, and that works well. I've tasted of the sting of death. I think is got a nice ring with it. And there were a few no's and a few other bits and bobs that would just repeat a little bit, and I took the opportunity to just add a little bit more in there and just polish the lyrics a little bit up. But of course it means that some of the recordings I've done were mostly good practice. So the verses might be okay. So I'm going to record it again a couple more times with the new lyrics and just check that they scan and they work, and see what comes out the other end. Okay, so I've recorded the vocals 4 or 5 times now, changing the words slightly as we're going along, so I've got to be aware of that as I'm doing this process. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play each phrase in turn, and I'm going to listen to the different takes that I did of it and pick which one I liked. Quite often it's not the takes that you think it's going to be that are the good ones. Sometimes you're just warming up and that particular take just comes out like magic because you're just so relaxed because you know it's not going to be the one that you're thinking about. So always listen to the first one. At the end, sometimes perhaps you've been singing for too long and your voice is just starting to creak a little bit, so you've got to be aware of that. But basically I'm going through listening for 2 things really. One is which performance is best, so which one is most in tune, which one has the nicest vibrato, has the most resonance on the deep notes, but also which one had the most kind of magic, most spirit, had the most kind of artistic license in, and you've got to kind of make a best judgment on it. There's probably going to be 2 or 3 on each one that are okay, but there probably is often one that stands out. So here we go. So I'm going to listen to the first one.
It's true, I am a traveller of plains across these lands, and of my mind-forged turrets I've tread cross boundless sands.
Okay, so I like the tone and I like the resonance, but I am a bit flat on a few notes there, so I'll probably skip that one.
It's true, I am a traveller of plains across these lands, and of my mind-forged turrets I've tread cross boundless sands.
So kind of rush the second bit of that. You can go further than this, and rather than just doing a whole phrase, you can do pick very small things, words, even a syllable. You could even pick which is the best one. But I personally like the flow of having, a take.
It's true, I am a traveller of plains across these lands, and of my mind-forged turrets I've tread cross boundless sands.
To me, that one was a lot better. That's the best one so far. So I've got one more. You see, that one was vaguely in tune, had good tone, and was...
It's true, I am a traveller of plains across these lands, and of my mind-forged turrets I've tread cross boundless sands.
Good take there. I like that. It's got a slightly different feel to it, hasn't it? So, and at that point, it's just artistic license. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a new audio track. And this process, by the way, is called comping. You may have heard that term before. And I think I'm going to take that last one and I'm just going to essentially copy and paste it. Marvellous. And I'm going to do that for all the different phrases. There's a good chance actually that most of the good ones will be in the last couple of good takes, possibly on that last take. And I've got to be careful that where I've changed the lyrics, that I'm definitely putting the right lyrics in. If I find that 90% of a take came out of the same, 90% of it came out of the same take, then unless there's anything hideously wrong with the other 10%, I may even go for the entire take from one, and that can often sound a bit more fluid. So I'm going to do that now. I won't bore you with the details. And yes, I'll do that for all these vocals and see what we come up with at the back end.